This is Let's Talk Business with your host, Marc Ebinger. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk about how a bookkeeping company can craft a fantastic service offering so that it is properly positioned for growth. This is one of those things that I'm very interested in, is how not only the differentiator, but just all the elements of what makes an outstanding offer. And I'm excited, Kirby, that you just decided to stick around for another episode, because that is the sales guru right there. So I'm going to have lots of questions, and we're going to learn a lot today.
Looking forward to it.
In studio with us today is the infamous Emad Guirguis, a bookkeeping expert and the owner of Simply Bookkeeping. Emad, welcome back to the show.
Thanks again, Mark. Definitely looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I see you're properly branded there.
Always.
Can folks get their own version of these things?
They can. All new clients get a new cup, a Simply cup.
Did you give me one?
Yep,
Yeah.
you and your wife.
Really?
Actually.
And I got one.
Yep.
Are you a client of his?
I'm a client.
Okay. Kirby,
not
did
only
you get one?
I did not.
Okay, you're not a client.
Not
I
yet.
am not a client.
All right.
But are you a fan?
I'm a big fan.
Okay.
All right. Awesome. Love it.
Particularly if I can beat him at pickleball, then I'm a real big fan.
Is there handicaps in pickleball?
Yes, you play with your left hand. You're opposite.
Stop crying. All right. I'm your host, Marc Ebinger, the owner of Kirkus Virtual Staffing, a company that recruits and staffs experienced overseas administrative assistants for insurance agents who need help with policy management, claims processing, and client communication.
And I'm Howie Nestel, the owner of Sharkmatic Advertising, a cool ad agency serious about big results. For 30 years, we've helped clients with old school marketing, radio, television, print, billboards, and all the new school stuff, graphic design, web design, and search engine optimization to grow businesses.
Awesome. And I'm your other co-host, Kirby Kaden. I am a business coach, an executive coach, and I work primarily in the area of sales, from doing customer insights to really learn what's going on in the mind of your customer, all the way to an elegant process to convert them and to grow your business from where it is today to exponentially larger.
Love it. All right, a quick reminder, follow the Let's Talk Business podcast on all major podcast platforms. You can get to everything easily from our website at satalkradio.com. And don't forget to watch the video clips of the show. The podcast is awesome, and I know we sound great and all that, but the video, that's where it really kind of comes to life. That's my favorite way to watch the show. And yes, I do watch the show back on occasion. Anyway, all right, so we got a Let's Talk Business podcast Mega Mixer is coming up on October 3rd. We do a couple of these a year. The next one's coming up on Thursday, October 3rd from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. here in San Antonio at the usual place, Project Cowork Central. This mixer is an excellent opportunity for local business entrepreneurs and owners to mix, mingle, and do business with each other. Now, this show, we've done over 500 interviews. I think Emad's probably been around for most of those, and Howie as well. And we've had a lot of great discussions with local business owners and entrepreneurs. And this is a way to bring everybody together in one spot. We're expecting about 250 people this go around, so it's going to be an exciting
Is there room? It's so crowded in there yet.
No, we had actually plenty of room, and I think we're just going to push back just a little bit. Awesome. But we need to make better use of that extra space there, so I think we're going to drive traffic into there somehow. So that we can
I know somehow you put either drinks or some food items or some dessert.
They won't allow
items.
drinks or food in there, but that was my first thought. But we'll figure it out somehow.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody has a great
somehow.
time, and they like to circulate, and it's fabulous.
Yeah, it is a really good time. And there's lots of business connection that's happening there. You know, one of the feedback that I got about having the sponsor booths is that it really kind of facilitates a lot of the communication that goes on and a lot of the networking that happens. And that's something I really didn't think about too much. I mean, obviously, it's a good opportunity for people to get their business in front of other folks in a very focused way, but then it's also a conversation starter. And the people attending the mixer actually enjoy that. It's an extra element of a mixer that I think elevated the experience.
Yeah.
Emad, you've been a sponsor there before. How was that?
It was absolutely amazing. Yeah, we got a lot of good new contacts. Actually got quite a bit of clients out of it too, which was great. But it was also a good opportunity to be able to talk to a big group of people and just put a little bit of value out there, especially with the opportunity of being able to talk to everyone as a whole too. I know the sponsors get that opportunity, so it was great.
Yeah, and we're going to be supporting Got You Covered this time, which is Howie's passion, local passion project. Howie, tell us about the nonprofit Got You Covered, what you guys are all about. And,
So all three of you have been to Gotcha Covered, donated in the past, come and
Amazing.
volunteered and hung
Amazing.
out. So it's an organic one-day collection drive where we collect over the past 3 years, each of the last 3 years, 65,000 pounds of donations. To put it in perspective, that's 3 truckloads full of stuff. And what do we collect? New and gently used clothing, non-perishable food items, and toiletries. And we donate 100% of everything we collect to Haven for Hope, Battered Women and Children's Shelter, and the San Antonio Food Bank. And just so that you understand the impact of these donations, the Battered Women and Children's Shelter has told me that from what we donate to them, sometimes lasts them almost the entire year. So we do this one time a year, and we've had clothing stores donate dresses, items that weren't sold, new items. It's incredible. And so these ladies that end up at the shelters and children get this hand up from this collection drive. And, you know, it started very modestly with a friend of mine and I collecting some items for a small homeless shelter downtown, and it's blown up to San Antonio's biggest collection drive. Very easy to find. Go Google Collection Drive San Antonio, and you'll see Gotcha Covered shows up first. The website's gotchacovered.org. And so the $10 that people pay to attend it, the proceeds, you know, the profits from the event are going towards Gotcha Covered. And so what will it pay for? It might pay for socks and underwear for children. It might pay for non-perishable food items. It might pay for something that's needed to put the event on. But this is done with no board of directors, no 501c3, no bank account, and everything that we collect goes to the people who need it most, the San Antonio's least fortunate.
Yeah,
Well,
but hats off to you, Howie. I just have to say, I've been here 20 years. You've been doing it for at least that. I just think you're remarkable how much you do for the community and what an unbelievable impact you've had on the San Antonio area. So you're a friend, and I couldn't be more impressed.
Well, thank you,
with the
man.
impact that you have on San Antonio.
Well, you should feel good about the people you've outfitted because you've brought sport coats and nice shirts and all kinds of stuff. And there's, you know, these nonprofits have it's not called Dress for Success, but they have nice clothing and things that the people who are at the shelters get to wear to go to job interviews. And we'll never know really the impact that these kinds of activities, drives, nonprofits, the kind of impact they have on people. But, you know, we know that it's positive. And that's the highest and best form of giving is when the people who are the recipients can't really thank you for it, but it benefits them somehow. So
Well, it's all you. So thank you for all you do. Thank you.
I got the giggles over here.
Yeah, no, I know what you were thinking. For all the suits that we put on 8th graders. Is that what you were about to say?
No, I was
Yeah,
thinking
that's-
Build-A-Bear, though. I was totally thinking of Build-A-Bear.
man, and I'm over here trying to be serious.
I know,
and
but I had the giggles. I couldn't. It's because look, it's like the fancy clothes and stuff that he's donating, and that's awesome and everything. But I just got that visual in my head, and I couldn't. And then you brought it out of me. I wasn't going to say anything, but so I'm a victim here.
And
Well,
Emad, yeah,
you're not the aggressor. I'm not the aggressor.
You're a real victim. Yeah. My
right.
glass eye weeps for you, buddy.
All right, so Howie, what's the website one more time?
gotchacovered.org, GOTCHA, covered.org, or go Google Gotcha Covered Collection Drive or Collection Drive San Antonio. You'll find it. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel and go follow us on all the social medias, and then you'll get updates. And there's a lot of ways of plugging in. You can come by and donate. You can come and volunteer. You can help us unload at the nonprofits. Everything that's donated on Sunday, December the 1st, gets boxed up, delivered that same day to the nonprofits, to their warehouses, and then they start distributing that following Monday.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing you said. The $10 is from the mixer, not to get into Gotcha Covered.
Right. Gotcha Covered is free. That's for the mega mixer.
Which is $15 instead of $10.
Oh, it's $15.
Yeah, we
right.
went up in price.
So even more for Gotcha Covered, which is
Right.
great.
$15.
But all that money's donated, and you eat, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are libations.
I knew you were going to say libations. That's your word. I got it. I'm going to get a
I didn't
T-shirt that
invent
says
it.
libation. I know, but you're the only one I know that says it.
Okay,
Libations.
well, maybe you'll start.
The bar
I
is,
will.
but the bar is actually called Margaritaville.
Oh yes.
After Mark.
MARC.
Yeah, Margaritaville.
Margaritaville.
Yeah.
I should get a sign made up for that. That's a great idea. Maybe with my picture.
Maybe.
And maybe
Maybe
not.
a little much.
Maybe maybe a margarita glass with your face on it and a straw.
There we go. Or one of those little sticks that hang out with my little kind of
bobblehead.
Bobblehead. There you go. I like
Or
that.
not.
Or not.
Or not. Yeah, but anyway, so all kidding aside, the $15 gets you into the mega mixer, and the proceeds are going to Gotcha Covered. But when you get to the mega mixer, you get food and you get drinks, and it's all included. But most importantly, really, you're there to mix, to do business. And from the previous attendees of the other mega mixers, I've talked to dozens of people that said they all met somebody
Everybody
that they're
does
doing business with somebody else.
Yeah, and they get to hang out with me for a little bit too, which is fun.
Will there be red carpet, video, that kind of stuff this time?
Yep.
Okay.
I like the video interviews are good. The red carpet experience, I think, really elevates everything, and it's great social media content as well. And I think everybody's interviewed, they get a copy of it as well. So it went over really, really, really well.
Same videography company?
Yep.
Can we plug them? Indigo?
Yep. Indigo Film, yeah.
All right, Indigo Films Productions.
They're great folks. The guy who took the pictures last time did a phenomenal
did.
job.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would like that guy back, but
The
anyway.
video folks were fabulous. I loved working with them.
they were
They're
great.
so sweet. Yeah, they were amazing. But on to you, Emad.
Yeah, on to you, Emad. I forgot you were there. No, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
hey,
We're
how's
just
it
having a
going,
good
Mark?
time. He's all quiet. Emad, you're going to be joining the show as a co-host here starting soon. You're actually going to be filling Kirby's seat. So what do you tell me, what are you looking to get out of being a co-host on the show?
Really not much for myself, but what I want to be able to do is ask other business owners where they stand from a financial perspective on their business, and really maybe at the minimum get them to kind of open avenues that maybe they haven't explored before. So ask questions that they haven't thought of before and really get that hamster wheel running again. That's really just my main goal, and then kind of guide them a little bit, with educated answers to help them on a path for their financial success in their business.
Yeah, and
That's my main goal.
Follow up with a meeting and have
Yeah.
a sit down, and then who knows, man, where that goes.
Oh yeah,
That's kind of not a last thing people do, but I think that when folks start their own businesses, they do all the fun, low-hanging fruit. They want a logo, they want a website, they want to be on social media, they start promoting themselves, but I don't think they really think about the foundational structure of their business to get their accounting set up. Because I've worked with clients that are startups, and they send me a Microsoft Word invoice. They're not using QuickBooks. I don't know how they're tracking this stuff. And I know the dangers of not paying sales tax or charging sales tax and turning it over to the state and getting their taxes. Very different than just, pay me on Venmo or Zelle, and then not keep track of it. So
Yeah, I think that's true almost universally, that most business owners are guilty of malpractice.
Yes.
That they do not look at their financial statements the way they do their speedometer. You need to know where you are at every moment so you can pivot, modulate, do more of what's working, and really measure your results based on real numbers. And people, it is shocking to me, just don't do it. It must be frustrating for you.
It's pretty frustrating. And what's also shocking too is there's a lot of business owners out there that are doing good, but they could be doing great, and they don't know how great they can be doing until you let them know this is what's lacking. And that all comes down to what you're saying, the malpractice of a lot of exercise just in business.
Yeah, people do what they want to do, but in the meantime, in order to feed your family, in order to keep your employees happy and growing with you, and to do great for the community and your customers, you've got to always make sure that you're watching your numbers. I'm just curious, how often do you work with people on doing pro formas where they plan out the year that's coming and look at their results versus their expectations?
I would say we set up financial review meetings with a lot of our clients, but it's the accountability of the client. So we can only do as much as they allow themselves to do. But the clients that really pay attention to their numbers and really follow through on those goals have significant growth. And from what we've seen in the past few years, those are the clients that are serious about their business and that are serious about growth. They reach out, they ask questions, they're engaged. I mean, they're proactive, not reactive. And that's a big thing with business.
Yeah. I think to your point, I think that before you start in business, like a health check before you start organized sports.
Hey, like
you go
a
to
pilot
doctor.
does, they walk around the plane and they check, okay, do we have wings? Yes. Is there gas in the plane?
Is there gas?
You have to have a checkpoint
Yeah.
before you take off in business.
But this is what I'm saying. Before you are in organized sports, you have to go see the doctor, make sure you're healthy, right? I think before you start a business or as you're doing a business, you need to have a health checkup and set up all your systems, your book of accounts, and all of that, just so you're now ready to operate your business.
Yeah, but that's like telling, two 18-year-olds that before you're going to get pregnant and have any kids, you need to bop, 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 bop. And they're going to be like, whatever, dude, we're just out here doing our thing. And then they accidentally get pregnant and move along. People start businesses like that. You know what I mean? They don't need to go through
They
anything.
get fired or they quit their job, and next thing you know, they're starting a business.
Yeah. And so how do we actually execute on what you're talking about? How do you maybe creating a culture or an awareness that, hey, this exists. If you're going to do this, come into this mastermind group and get this information.
Well, and it also starts with
$250.
education. It starts with Let's Talk Business podcasts and other business, content on social media.
But there's not a next step. What's the next step?
This is the first step.
It is.
I think what you were saying and what I'm advocating is this is the first step. Before you start your business, you have to set up your financial.
No, the first step is becoming aware
that you
of
need
this
to do
step.
this.
Well, of course.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm talking about is how do we build, obviously.
But in your
the
teenage
show.
example, the teenagers didn't care. So what about business owners? Maybe they don't care. They hear it
They
and
don't.
they don't care.
I'm telling you,
They
they
just
don't
get
care because
started.
they're not aware. So we have to build the awareness. It's like, hey, if you start a business without these basic fundamentals in place, this is the trajectory of your first 2 years. Okay. If you would like to turn that around, then join this mastermind group that's blah, 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 whatever it is.
Look, there's a lot of data out there. If I'm going to go into house cleaning or whatever, there's enough data to see what a P&L would look like. So to sit down with somebody like Emad and say, build a pro forma for me so I don't have all these gotchas. Business is so full of the unexpected. People just don't know what they don't know, to what your point was. And things happen, and it totally takes them off track. But to have that set up so there are no surprises, so that you are putting aside money, etc., is essential to any
Okay,
business.
so let me complicate this a little further.
Excellent.
None of us all of us in this room own a business. None of us in this room have as our ideal client a startup that has no money and no experience. That's not an ideal client for us. But they would benefit greatly if Simply Bookkeeping, if Kirby Kaden, if Crookers had and Sharkmatic had a startup package with some information on the things you should know as it pertains to what we do, say marketing or virtual staffing or sales and business or executive coaching, and certainly in bookkeeping. But it's not our ideal audience, so we don't want to waste our time because time is money, so we don't want to do that. We rather have somebody that's already hit the wall, fell, had big problems, and now all of a sudden they really need us. And now they're willing to pay for our service because they don't want to go back in front of the Texas State Comptroller again and get audited again. They're also sick of not making a profit and they can't grow their business because they don't have sales. They can't afford employees, so maybe they should start looking at virtual staffing. And then they had their neighbor's son build them a website, and nobody's finding it. And a year and a half later, they're like, okay, you know what? I need to invest in my business. I need to invest in myself. That's the flip side. So yeah, we're talking about what people should do, but we're not doing it. We're not offering
Here's the
that.
point I would make. Anytime somebody goes into business, there's a capital investment that needs to happen. And sometimes they think it's just business cards, and it can't be that. It is setting up your functions, your entire sales journey, your books, your staffing model, and sort of plotting out your growth is absolutely necessary. Look, we're in the middle of the Olympics, and we see them at the starting blocks, but all the work happened before they got to that starting block. And if you look at a business as a job, or if you look at it as a business as an avocation, you're already in the wrong trajectory. I think people have got to change their mindset, and when they start a business, they need to know what sort of investment they need to make.
There's a phenomenal Under Armour extended version of a commercial with Michael Phelps, and they showed his training. I remember when he was in the Olympics 15 years ago, 10 years ago, when he won all those gold medals. And the line at the end of the video, when they have his silhouette up on the gold podium, platform where he's receiving the gold medal, it said, "It's what you do in the dark that puts you in the light."
Yeah.
It's what you're saying. It's what you do to get to success. But Mark says they don't care. We all think they don't know, and experience will teach them what they need to know. But maybe then we throw it off on government and quasi-government organizations, Small Business Development Center, and these people. Hey, you want to help entrepreneurs? Have a program to get them the foundational knowledge and experience that they need. Unfortunately, I think most people start a business because they get fired, because they quit, because they're frustrated, because they've always wanted to start a business, and now they're ready to do it, and they just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when business owners get started, they just go for it. I mean, they very seldom do they sit down and say, you know what, I'm fed up, but before I start this thing, let me just come up with a checklist of the things that I should do. So when business owners get into it, they just go and they start, and then they see, okay, I'm going to give this thing a shot. And if it does, then it turns back, and then they start asking those questions. Okay, well, now that it is in motion, now that I know it does work, how do I get these pieces in place to continue to grow? And that's kind of what separates the good from the great, is because the good will continue to skate on by, where the great will actually ask those questions and say, okay, well, I've got something now, but how can I make it better?
Yeah.
When we talk about the offer, so Simply Bookkeeping, what is it that you offer? If you put out marketing, a video, or in your optimization, or on your website or social media, what is it that you're offering clients or prospects other than what you do, like your list of services?
Yeah.
What do you say? What's that outstanding offer?
Yeah, so what we offer is the education to know and what to expect, because a lot of business owners don't know what to expect when it comes from a financial perspective. They don't know what taxes due, or they don't know what types of taxes are even out there. And so it's the education of knowing what's out there and when they're due, to predict and to plan before it's too late, because when it's too late, we all know there's penalties and fees.
Right.
And so it's that education of knowing, and that's a simple, like you said, just a simple video of educating those prospects, maybe in their beginning stages of business, that's actually a significant value and help.
So, Kirby, look, the way you said that is, educating our clients. I've heard that a lot. For me to really kind of absorb what you're saying there on like a client, and this is an overused word too, but like a client success manager kind of a thing. But the idea that I think you're truly trying to convey is that we're with you every step of the way. We're your advocates. We're your counselors. We're your whatever that is that says we're walking this with you and we're available, as opposed to just education. But Kirby, you're the sales guy. When you're communicating something like that concept to a prospect or even to an existing client to keep them, what's a better way maybe to communicate that?
No, I think you did a good job. Many business owners are out in the wilderness. And to have a tour guide to help you through that is really essential. There's a lot of fear, particularly if you have employees, there's a lot of fear associated with being an entrepreneur. Yeah. Like, how am I going to make this payroll? And I think from the standpoint of the value that you bring is that I'm going to walk through the wilderness with you. There are going to be obstacles, and I don't see you once a year for taxes. You and I are having a conversation, whatever frequency, whether it's quarterly or monthly, depending on what they're investing in your services, etc., is really essential to keep people within the guardrails. And I see it in my business all the time, where there is just a reckless abandon about the way they conduct their business, and they aren't really focused. So to have a tour guide, either as a marketing person, somebody who's cutting costs through virtual assistants rather, or somebody like you, Emad, really holding their hands and putting up those guardrails and kind of holding them.
That's
accountable.
your big differentiator right there to me, just in how you present that, because it's like, yeah, education is like, I can go to ChatGPT and get education, but what you're doing is you're watching those numbers. You're aware context. This is something Chat or AI lacks. AI lacks context, right? They can execute on the things, but they lack human or context. It takes a human. That's where you guys excel. It's seeing the numbers, but also understanding the context of those numbers, and then walking through that with the client is going to help them feel safe in the numbers. I think that's a differentiator.
Emad, give us a success story of somebody who you've held their hand, not literally, and taken them through troubled waters and out the other side through discipline.
Well, before you answer that, can you comment on what we were just saying here? What are your thoughts on the tweaking that wording a little bit? Do you agree with it?
Absolutely. Okay, so on your guidance with, and I'll take the tour guide example there, because that's actually a fantastic model. So how you would see us is we're walking through what you would call, an adventure or a journey. We don't just say, this is your starting point and the ending point is somewhere over there. Go figure it out. That's not what we do. We guide you throughout the whole process. And so that's really important, because there's always going to be something different, whether your numbers are up, the economy is different, you lost an employee, you gained an employee, you added some services, now you have to pay sales tax. There's a lot of changing aspects. So having someone that's constantly aware and with you throughout that journey is essential.
And understands the context.
And understands.
I think that's good
Yeah,
verbiage
as
there.
it comes to numbers, but you also need a business coach to be your guide through these things, because finances are one slice of an important slice of a business, but that's not everything.
True.
You can't have all your books in order and think you're going to have a successful
And
business.
not have any sales.
Right.
And not have any sales. But I'm talking
no
about
sales,
even
no
more so
numbers.
than just Kirby the sales guru. I'm talking about a business coach that has experience, has worked with a lot of companies, that says, hey, by the way, you do need to get that in order. But you know what else you need to get in order? These things. And I'm going to walk you through these things. But why do business owners have a reckless abandon? Is it the mindset of an entrepreneur that it's very cavalier and I'm just going to go for it and I'm going to start in a garage, like all these famous stories, and then I'm going to become a billionaire? They
They
think
just don't
that?
know what they don't know. I think that's it.
Well, the other thing is, to be an entrepreneur is a high risk proposition, I think. And people work for themselves specifically because they thought their bosses were morons, or they thought they could do it better, or what have you. And certainly in many cases that might be the case. That mindset, I have to tell you, about 80% of my work, and I'm sure yours as well, Emad, is the intrinsic that's going on. How they diagnosed their situation and come up with what they believe is a solution without having the opportunity to play it off key players inside of their business world. And to not have that perspective and to have a myopic approach is extremely dangerous, because it causes mistakes that are short-term but have long-term negative impacts. So very much mindset is a really big part of it. Oh, yeah. But as you're going through the ups and downs in business, and you have a pandemic and you lose an employee like you're talking about, it's very difficult to regulate the financial discipline against all of a sudden I've got some sales, so now I'm going to turn up the volume, I'm going to hire a bunch of people, and you may have done that well or poorly, and now all of a sudden I have too many people. And to create that equanimity so that you have balance and you have bandwidth, but you're playing it lean. That's part art, part science, which all comes from the numbers.
It does. It helps with pre-planning and prediction, to your point. Like you say, you get struck with a high lump of sales and you're not sure what to do, or you decide, okay, I'm just going to hire a bunch of people. Well, what margin do you have and what capability do you have to hire all these people? Is the answer hiring a bunch of people, or is it evaluating your processes first to potentially make some of those processes more efficient and target your energy towards that avenue rather than just hiring a bunch of people and then spending a bunch of money to train them and then possibly
Lose him.
be more negative than you would have.
Right.
Well, law of diminishing returns, right? You get more revenue and then you staff up and your expenses go up, and God forbid you should get into a lease for a lot of extra space, and all of a sudden your margins go down and you don't know because you think, wow, man, we used to have 20 people, now we have 60 people, and our office doubled in size, and next thing you know, you're losing money.
But yep, exactly.
So let's talk. Go ahead.
Oh, no.
I was going to say, tell me about a really cool customer experience working with Simply Bookkeeping.
We've got too many. I can't even pick. But I have one in particular. Client came to me, an engineering firm, actually. I do love this story. So they were in a situation where they were able to get a government contract, but they had to have accurate books for the past 4 years to possibly get this government contract. Took a little bit to get the past 4 years completed, but once we finished the past 4 years, we actually saw a whole nother picture than what was expected. It turned out, assuming they actually got the government contract, let's say they did, it actually opened their eyes in realizing that their foundation for the business with that influx of sales would have probably brought the organization down, which was something they didn't even anticipate to begin with. And so after really evaluating these numbers and their performance and the work that they were actually cranking out, they came to the conclusion that, okay, we're actually going to structure our foundation a little bit stronger, even though now we've qualified for this government contract and we can get it. We're actually choosing not to take it now to strengthen our foundation first before we take it on to not risk collapsing.
That's brilliant.
Which is huge for an organization.
Yeah, you see that quite a bit where somebody has success. I've seen this in restaurants where they have success and then before they've figured out all of their SOPs, standard operating procedures, et cetera, with ordering and preparation and all of that, they open their second, and before they know it, they've tanked the whole enterprise.
So, Emad, how do you answer the question, oh, Emad, I met you, but I really don't need a bookkeeping company because I have a CPA?
Exactly. So that comes up more oftentimes. So a CPA is great, and you should always have a CPA on your team. But my answer to that is, how often are you meeting with your CPA? If it's once a year, that's not enough. If it's twice a year, that's okay. But then my question to you is, well, are you okay with being average, or do you want to grow? Are you a business owner that wants to grow? If you are, then you need to be evaluating these things on a monthly basis, whether it's with your CPA or with your bookkeeper. But a lot of times it's going to be a bookkeeper, because the bookkeeper has more data on the analytics than the CPA is more concerned of. You hire a CPA to help you with filing your taxes. That's their duty. You hire a bookkeeper to help you evaluate your numbers in helping you as a business owner grow. There's a difference.
Let's go back to the growth word, that word grow, right? If you want to grow, here's another one, different word to use, takes a little bit different tactic, right? But it has to do with how much money they're losing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not because you may have people like Howie here who's like, I don't really want to grow. You know what I mean?
And you're a mind reader.
He's comfortable where he's at. He's got what he wants or whatever. But when you address that they're actually losing money on a regular basis that belongs to you already,
Oh, yeah.
how long do you want that to go on?
Are you talking about an opportunity cost or cash?
It could be both.
Opportunity. Yeah,
But it could also be-
I was thinking cash because they're probably hemorrhaging somewhere. You know,
Well, it could be an offer. It could be a service that a company is offering that they're losing money on. The company overall is making money, but there's one offering that's not making them money, and they think, "Oh, I'm doing so much of this. This is great," but you're losing money every time you sell that.
and that's what you're helping them identify.
Right, because
So-
then you can understand that. That's
That
what
could be
that's
a
what-
customer too. I'm making money on most of them, but there are a couple I'm not. But I'm not looking at that.
Or from a service base, if you're if you're providing 10 products or so, and you really crank it down to the numbers, and you realize that really only 3 products are carrying the whole organization. Matter of fact, you could get rid of 7 of those products and be more profitable.
Well, when you run across somebody who's not clear on their numbers, it just seems to me like there's a tremendous opportunity to say, look, let's have a sit down, right? And then let's talk about how we can do like an audit or whatever you want to call it. Audit's probably a strong word, but we can look at what's going on here and identify. Typically, we identify several areas within a business that they're losing opportunity, losing money, or losing both.
Oh, yeah.
Is that worth your time or not?
Absolutely, and we do it all
No,
the
I
time.
mean that's the question.
Oh, yeah.
But you actually put it to them like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, I have a current client now, and we look at this very point is they're in, I want to be very broad, but they're in the health profession, and they produce a number of different health-related products, and they just acquired the equipment to produce these products with 70% margins versus 45% margins. And the 45% margin is very people intensive and a lot of agita in creating that. And so as I paint their future, which is I'm sure what you do, is we need to stop doing this. Give this to your competitors. Let them kill themselves trying to produce these lower margin things. And let's just do the 70% stuff and become experts and grow geographically rather than a scope of different work. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. I'm sure you
Completely
see that
agree.
all the time,
All
right?
the time.
So let's get into the customer journey a little bit. So I start with you. I'm the only person here that is not working with you. Tell me my customer journey with you.
Absolutely. So we would actually have an introduction call. And in that introduction call, we would see if you have something already set up. Maybe you have a QuickBooks account. If so, what we like to do is an evaluation. To Mark's point, is what we do. We do an evaluation on your numbers and how everything is organized. A lot of times when new customers come to us, they don't come because they're doing just so fantastic. They come because they're struggling. There's an area of problem that they're trying to resolve. And so we, more times than often, we find areas where there is room for improvement. We highlight those points. And then from there, we sit down together after we do that evaluation, and we put a plan together to understand, okay, what is that client's goal? What are they trying to achieve? What are they trying to accomplish? Now, one question that's really important is we want to make sure that we're also the bookkeeping company for you, which is really important because I want to make sure that as a company, we're able to add a value to your business. If we're not adding a value, then in return, you're not going to be satisfied, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure, okay, these are some areas that we can help you improve. The next question is, do you want to improve as a business owner? If the answer is yes, and we can help you, then we start planning. That's a big question.
Yeah. No, that's a lot of touch, a lot of service, and that's great. What is the regularity with which you meet with your clients?
Good question as well. So in the beginning, we like to touch at least once a month for the first 3 to 6 months, depending on the origin of the business, to get them to a point where they understand and they're in rhythm of using these financial reports to their advantage. They're keeping up with their goals. Once we get them on their path, once we get that wheel rolling, then we can say, okay, well, then we're going to meet with you, every quarter to evaluate, are you keeping up with it? But for the business owners that want to grow, we're touching base at least once a month until we know that they're on their path, that they're walking, and then now they're running.
I got to tell you, I have great.
Well, then after that, it's like once a quarter.
Once a quarter,
Yeah.
yeah, making sure.
Do you have a client appreciation, like a client once a year, something like that, where you bring everybody together?
Yeah, they get a cup.
No.
It was ahead of time. It's not a party.
Having a dinner or
For
something.
all clients?
Yes.
That's a big party. That's not just a dinner.
So, do you have one though?
We per client.
No.
Oh,
You
totally. Like to bring everybody
It's
together.
an annual appreciation
He's
dinner.
looking for an invite.
So
Emad.
there's lots of opportunity there, dude. Because
that's
now
a great
you
question,
got people talking to each other. You know what I mean? But it's just for your clients.
Yeah, so that's actually a fantastic opportunity, I guess, now to say it on the podcast. So we're about to approach 100 clients. And so, yes, we would like to organize a mixer to bring all those clients in appreciation, to your point, and say, you are what made us all possible. And
The
we're
Simply
part of the
Simply
community.
Bookkeeping Mega Mixer. I like
We'll
the
dig
name.
into the benefits of that because
Soon to be
the
right.
real
Huge.
benefit is them talking to each other. Is not just, you saying, hey, we like you, we appreciate you, thank you, but it's also everybody else, hey, that's networking,
Yeah,
of course, but then
yeah.
also talking about some of the benefits, of
Hey,
course.
not
your
only
company
that,
provides.
you've used me as a reference, and I've had people call me to ask me about
yeah.
you, and it has not turned into business for Sharkmatic. But if we were in a more formal setting and I got to meet some of your other clients, maybe I can help them with their marketing.
bingo.
Yeah.
Coming from the networking masters themselves.
Yeah.
I have to say an embarrassing thing.
Another one?
They're endless, Mark. They're
Do
absolutely
we need to pause the podcast so you go to the restroom?
No. Is that when I work with clients, they have a bookkeeper, either internal or external, and they still don't get their numbers on an ongoing basis. So I'm just curious, do you have any sort of guarantees about timely delivery of P&Ls and balance sheets and all that?
Yes. So we have 3 priority dates each month. But our guarantee is that every client does receive their financial report every month. Now,
You're waiting for statements and things like that. So
correct.
Yeah.
So dependent on the availability of the client, but let's say we weren't able to receive all the data that we need, we do let them know that they get a draft report regardless. But we do make it apparent that they are still getting a report. It's just we're pending items from them. But we do a very good job of follow-up without necessarily bothering clients either, because we know they're busy, but we make it a task to let them know, okay, this is important. This needs to get done sooner than later.
yeah. So you've got 100 clients. How did you grow that quickly? What was it? Is it a differentiator? Is it a sales team that you have? Is it you? Your good looks? What is it?
It's I would say it's being available and providing the expectations. I feel like, especially in the accounting world, the bar is set relatively low. And so by providing a good service that offers value, we didn't ask to grow. Our customers demanded that we grow. And that's how we got to 100 customers. I didn't ever plan on getting to 100 customers. I thought starting out I could only manage 10. But here we are.
So what is your expectation for you? What does your 25 pro forma look like? I know it's a little early. How do you see yourself growing?
As a leader, as an individual, as a company?
As a company.
As a company. Fantastic. So how we structure things is we have a manager, and then every manager is assigned 5 bookkeepers. Clients are always connected to the same manager and that same bookkeeper. So as we grow, we're actually replicating that structure to make sure that all our clients' needs are always going to that same person and that they're always met.
Does the client have the relationship with the manager, or do they have a relationship with the bookkeeper?
Both. If you're having financial review meetings, you're having it with the manager because they're more apt with those skills to be able to give those suggestions. The bookkeeper is assigned to make sure that the work is always up to date and is always getting done. The manager makes suggestions on how the business is growing, where it's operating, and some avenues of potential growth and opportunities.
I gotcha. From the standpoint of integration, some of the companies I imagine you work with have internal bookkeepers or office manager or somebody who's doing a pseudo job of trying to figure out where to put stuff, right? In QuickBooks or whatever. Do you integrate with, accounting SaaS that they may have or industry-specific software that they may have? How do you work with that, or you just wait for them to generate a report and work from there?
So for companies that have a CRM or a point of sale, we do integrate with them. Now, as I've mentioned on the podcast before, so the accounting software that we use is specifically QuickBooks Online, which does give us the opportunity to connect and integrate with many other CRM and point of sale systems. So we're able to directly get that information, so we don't necessarily always have to wait. So a big part of what you were mentioning is making sure that the systems and processes and that we have a clear path to get that data for us to be able to deliver. So that's actually step one, is making sure that the structure is set up for us to be able to provide a successful product.
The entrepreneurs that listen to the podcast, a lot of them that I've met have said that they love hearing stories about human interaction. So tell us a little bit, when you're integrating with some of these people that Kirby you're talking about that work for the companies, you ever find that there's friction? They think that you're getting hired and they're going to lose their job. And do you have to convince the employees or the owners that you're there to supplement and to help, not to replace people? And maybe have you actually been used to replace in-house employees?
Well, my wife is a good example of that, right? She's like, she had trust issues, you know what I mean? Plus, I got my way of doing things.
Well, that's all because you're a cop. Oh, you mean trust issues with hiring a bookkeeper? I'm sorry, I thought.
Trust on the financial side, it's like, so that was a bit of a step, and now she's an absolute fan, right? So I mean, I would imagine you have other stories similar to that where people are like, they're wanting to hold too tight onto their broken system.
Yes. And that all goes back to that introduction call again. So a lot of times big companies do have a few accountants in-house. So it's really defining each individual's roles and how we as a company are helping supplement that business owner and what we're providing as a value.
So you're adaptable. In other words, you're not going to come in with one solution for everybody. You're going to see what they have in place, where you can help, where you can supplement, and where you can bring value.
Exactly.
Fractional bookkeeper. I mean, you got fractional CFOs, right? I mean, you're just a fractional bookkeeper.
Yeah. And if we can add value, then we do partner up. If I see that there is going to be friction and that based on our models and we wouldn't really have the floor plan to be able to provide what we want to deliver, then maybe it's not a good fit.
I would also imagine that some business owners, I mean, do they freak out when you show them behind the oh shit curtain? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. A lot of times. Yeah. I mean, but that's where it starts. You don't know what you don't know, and it's important
Ripping
to let
that Band-Aid off?
Got to rip the Band-Aid off because you got to have a starting point.
Yeah, that's where you need to bring them into a studio like this, have a sit down and have a discussion with some of these folks, because those are powerful stories. If somebody's, can relate their story about how maybe they were resistant or they thought they knew it all and then they got in and they pulled back the oh shit curtain and you know what I mean? It's like, oh, I had
Mark,
no idea.
I bought a company in 2018 and the guy wanted this amount of money and we paid this amount of money for it and we used financials to show him that he was actually financing the company after he had been the owner of it for more than 25 years. And he bought it from somebody that started it in the 1960s.
He was losing money.
He was losing money, but he had all of his money so commingled that he didn't realize that it was actually costing him money to keep the doors open. Mm-hmm. And so when we bought the company, we were able to buy it for a lot less because we were actually doing him a favor by taking over his leases and his liabilities and those kinds of things as we bought the company. There's obviously some blue sky there. That's why we paid him and he didn't pay us to take it over, because it was value in the name, value in his clients and all that stuff. He was also old school enough that he wasn't doing all of the new gen marketing stuff that we use to help grow the business. But
have you had situations where you go into a mess, right? You find out that it's a mess, and then you like bring in, hey,
yeah, that shit.
bring this person in, bring this, you know what I mean? It's like, because you know people, and so you go to a couple different industries or a couple different talents, and then help really solve bigger problems within the company.
Emad goes, that's their sub. That's their sub. Simply Bookkeeping. We fix the mess you got yourself into.
The answer is 3 times before lunch, typically, right?
Yeah.
Well, you even said they come to you not because because everything's running great. They come to you because there's some big freaking problem.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, hardly does someone come and say, "Hey, we've been doing such a fantastic job. We'd like you to keep it up."
Well, so let's talk about the business of that, because look, if you know that people often they got sales problem, then you should have a relationship with several sales coaches and then have an affiliate set up with it so that you get a kickback on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a good business decision, because you're helping the client solve their problems down the road.
Or hey, listen, I'm not kidding about this, but go to the public records and see who's being audited, see who's having problems, because some of that stuff is public information.
It is?
Some of it is. Oh yeah, you can see when the state sues you or they levy
lawsuits.
Not lawsuits, but when they file a lien against your stuff, it becomes public information.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how real estate people pounce on people who are
right.
before
But not
their
being
house
audited.
Not being audited, no. But if the state comptroller has a case against you, some of it is public information. You know, you can definitely find.
So here's my question, Emad. I get to work with folks. Some are in trouble, and they do not want to look at their P&Ls.
Head in the sand?
Head in the
big
sand,
time.
exactly. And when that stuff comes, they just park it somewhere in case somebody asks them for it. But it's like their brokerage statement. You know, when things were dropping, nobody wanted to look at their portfolio.
My grandfather had a funny line about that. I was thinking about him this weekend because I was in Laredo. He started his business in 1947. And I said to him when I was 18 years old, I worked for him and I knew everything. So I said, "Hey, Grandpa."
Thank God he had you.
I said, we sell a lot of Wrangler jeans, but we're like this model, we're selling it for less than what you're paying for it, between, the cost and the freight and the labor and all that stuff. He goes, "Don't worry, we'll make it up on volume."
So I guess where I was going was, how do you get somebody to get back focused into their results?
And I'm actually especially excited to present this part, but as we're always evolving, we now actually inquired a new software that gives clients, well, it doesn't necessarily give clients, but gives the clients the ability to look at the P&L reports and especially highlight factors that are playing factors within their business in a more apparable way. So we try to break it out as easy as possible. So we color code things: green, red, arrows, up, down, to make it really easy. It lets business owners know what is actually working, how it compares to last month, and how it compares to the same month.
Yeah.
And we make it to where even if they don't know what they're looking at, they now know by just these visuals and these color codes, because it's really hard to miss.
Yeah, it's called Talk to Me Like I'm 5 software.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it works.
Trademark.
Fantastic.
It's helpful.
2024.
Usually people figure out how they're doing based on their bank account.
Yeah.
My balance is up, so I must be doing well.
Yeah.
It's like, do you want to spend, an hour trying to figure out what all this stuff means, or you want to be able to look at it and 30 seconds later you got a pretty good idea what's going on?
Bingo. 30 seconds.
There's part of your elevator pitch and your offering and your message on social media and your videos, and when you get up to speak and when you get on a podcast with 25,000 YouTube subscribers, is all businesses struggle with their finances. All businesses struggle with their bookkeeping. All businesses struggle with money issues. Simply Bookkeeping has a signature approach to helping our clients understand our numbers and how to use those numbers to guide ourselves, or having us guide our clients through that wilderness to get out to the other side. As a result, you'll tend to be more successful than your competition. I mean, that's really your message. If somebody were to tell me that when I first started my business and not get a bunch of people and 1099 them when they were actually employees and all this other stuff, probably would have been more successful earlier.
So I'm curious.
We'll make them simple. I think using the word simple in there would be good, right?
he does. Actually his name.
It's Simply Bookkeeping. Wow, are you in? You should be.
I
in
should
marketing.
be in
marketing.
Wow. Marketing and sales. Yeah, I'm taking over.
Yeah, attaboy. What are the challenges in your business? You're scaling fast.
Well, yeah, let's get into that so we can fix them. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're always working on this. Challenges are always collecting the necessary data that we haven't been able to streamline.
I thought you were just going to say collecting.
Collecting money?
Yeah.
No.
No, that's that. Fortunately, we found a solution for that.
It's called ACH.
It's called automatic payments.
It's called Bruno.
Yeah. Well, we found that it's not that people don't want to pay. It's that it takes time to pay. So you take that task off their plate and they're okay with it.
Yeah. Right.
And that's a simple
Yeah,
solution.
QuickBooks has a pay invoice now thing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So what's
What are your
the
challenges?
challenge?
Yeah.
Challenges are collecting the necessary requirements from clients to be able to do the portions
help
that
them.
we need to
Right,
do.
to get you
That's-
for them to turn over the info. Is it because they're busy, they don't want to, because they think it's sensitive, because it's financial, they don't want to turn it over? Is it all of the above?
I would say it's more so because they're busy. I mean,
Okay,
they just
they're
have
busy,
to
okay.
carve a little bit of time out of their week, or possibly make it a habit to deliver those items.
Yeah, but they
let's
can give you
try and fix this.
non-administrative.
You can fix this. It's not hard.
They can give you non-administrative access to their credit card and bank statements. Yes.
And a lot of times that can be streamlined. Yep, and that is. But there are some particular items. Let's say real estate. You've got a purchase document. There's no way for us to get that unless we ask and actually receive that from the client. So it is those specific documents that we just have to receive. But for the most part, to your point, we try to streamline and automate as much as we can to be able to deliver as efficiently as we can.
See, I'm going to introduce you to my assistant, Leslie. She's very tenacious. She's going to be all over you until she gets everything that she needs. Okay? Setting expectations straight from the gate. You're going to get a call every hour until we get that document.
Now, there is that avenue, but you also don't want to piss off your clients to the point where they
you set
leave.
the expectation. Say, look, this is a friction point. We understand it's a friction point, right? But in order for us to serve you properly, we have to be tenacious on it. So just understand that when we sign at the bottom line, my person's going to be all over you on a regular basis until we get what it is that we need. Okay? Are we cool with that? Because if we're not, it's not going to be a good fit anyway. You're going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. That's welcome to the Let's Fix Your Business podcast.
Yeah. That's going to be a spinoff.
We should have a mixer. I know.
No. And we're all good cops, and he's the bad cop. But and your approach works. You just tell people, hey, look, this is what I expect.
the
This
expectations.
and this is what's going to happen. And I put my pit bull on you until we get the information, but we need it.
And my pit bull's name's Leslie. So don't be mad when you get all those text messages or calls, because that's her job, is to make
She's
sure.
great, though. She's great. She's a velvet anvil.
Yeah. That's that expression, white. It's going to be like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm. That's a lot of white. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Wow. I definitely won't use that again. Very good. So what other than getting materials, what about the scaling part? How do you see your business 10 years from now?
I would say our goal 10 years from now is to be able to serve as many clients that we can. Our main purpose and goal is to be able to help the community, the small business community, thrive, grow, and in doing so, we provide and educate. And that's really what our main purpose is. So there's not necessarily your specific client counts. There is for internal goals. We would love to reach 500 clients that we could serve. But like I mentioned earlier, it's really making sure that our systems and processes are in place, and then allowing the customers to demand how big we grow.
Is AI a threat to your industry?
Wait. Can we go back to that again? Because I really wanted to have a comment on that.
Yeah.
So, and this actually involves you too, Kirby. But look, I listen to a lot of podcasts too, and they talk about business and business growth, right? Alex Hormozy is a great one, but there's others out there that are good, that are great as well. So when somebody says, "What does your business look like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, so forth?" Usually it's in monetary or revenue terms, right? It's like we're going to do 2 million in growth in the next 24 months, and then we're going to be at 20 million growth within 5 years, right? So Kirby, when you ask that question for business owners, how are they answering it like that, or are they answering it more in numbers, or what? Because
By the time I get done with it, yes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you have to be very, very specific. So mission, vision,
you should have addressed
values.
that.
Well,
Aren't I?
No. I mean but because that answer is like that's an answer that's not the answer
It's
in
fungible.
business.
It's a little soft.
Yeah.
And there's no clarity in that for either you or your people. And in the absence of clarity, how do they know what ship they're on? They
Right,
want to know what your destination is. So mission, vision, cultural statements, which you've articulated, etc. But how you're going to grow, and then how you're going to get there. And some of this is imaginary at the beginning. But as you continue to reconsider it, you start to get really granular on how you might get there. I need VAs. I need better marketing. I need a BDR to get people so that I can meet with them that are in the market and have the wherewithal to have a great partner in their financial success.
The reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm going through this myself, right? And it's even knowing that that's even a way, that's a thing. Knowing that I'm not necessarily presenting that correctly, which is like I'm not clear myself on the growth that I really should be expecting from my business. And this is the journey that I'm on, is learning these kinds of things so that when I see it, I want to address it. It's like, what was the word you used? Spongible or something? What was the word?
Fungible.
Fungible. Well, I don't even know what that means. He always comes up with like
It's
three or
squishy.
four words.
It's squishy. It's not solid.
Sounds squishy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that what should that path be? What is your opinion, Kirby? He's got a bookkeeping business. He's got 100 clients.
I am
actually-
in no position to address
I'm gonna
what's
jump
right for him.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here a little bit, Mark. So a lot of times, like you said, people target right off the bat. Oh, we're $1 million company. We want to be at a $2 million company, for example. How I approach it is not from a revenue perspective. I approach it from a process perspective. What I do is I focus my time on building the infrastructure within the business to be able to handle the new clients coming in. Fortunately, like I said, we've focused on our product to make it a really good product that we don't necessarily have too much issue with gaining new clients on. There's the demand for us, which is fantastic. Now, how I track our revenues with percentages, so I know exactly where our margins are growing at all times, but I don't necessarily limit myself with a revenue number to say next year I want to be at 2 million, because then I've limited my mindset. So now I'm going to focus so much on an infrastructure that's going to handle 2 million, for example.
What, Kirby, is it? Yeah. See, this is what I know. I get it. This is what you believe to be right. But in somebody who knows business and business growth, right? I mean, multi-million, we have a mindset. I'm with you, right? Yeah. I say, I want to make sure that I'm good at what I'm doing before I blow it up, right? And I get that. But that's a system and a process, right? Once you know the system and a process, you then need to scale. And having a revenue goal is not a bad thing. So what are your thoughts on what he just said?
Many people go into business because they love what they're doing, and whether it's making an apple pie, or whether it's building websites, or whether it's doing bookkeeping, they do it because they love it and they want to give great value to their customers. it's about the same as eating that pie. By that I mean, you know it's not good for you, but you're doing it anyway. The long-term ramifications of that perspective over time is very deleterious to your long-term health. And it's the same thing in business. If you don't have your eye specifically on the path of growth, then it can fluctuate. You can do a great job, for example, of meeting the needs of your clients and never grow and never get to your personal objectives and that of the clients you hope to serve or the people that work for you. And it becomes a cultural stumbling block, I believe, when people think that you don't know where you're going. And as a leader, to be able to say, this is what we're capable of, here's how we differentiate ourselves, here's how we're going to grow. And by the way, all of you are as the water rises, your ship is going to rise. And your responsibility and your personal income is also going to rise because we're doing this together. That creates a passionate, enthusiastic culture around the business. But it's I hate to use it again, but I'll say it. It's about being in the wilderness without a destination. By defining that destination and making absolutely certain, and I don't want this to be misunderstood, that you are never deviating from culturally what is most important to you, which is outstanding care for your customers. But by pushing yourself to set up the path to that destination, excites your employees. I hope it excites you, gets your clients enthusiastic about growing with you. Because if you're able to grow, you're going to help me to grow. If you're not growing, are you in a position to help me to grow? And so for all the stakeholders to be able to really define what the future looks like is a really, really positive thing.
Should it be tied to a number?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So let's elaborate on that. So,
because he had a goal. I mean, his goal was, it's clear in his mind.
Yeah.
I'm simply adding in there that the revenue growth should be a factor.
Of course,
So,
without a doubt.
Okay, it's a part of it, but like if you go to the textbook definition of a business, it's to maximize profit for the stakeholders, okay? So maximize profit doesn't always mean more revenue. Certainly, more revenue sometimes means more profit for the stockholders. But it also means that you're always focused on making more profit. You're going to do that by doing good work for your clients, by getting good referrals. But I think what we're kind of saying is for sure work on your systems, for sure work on your infrastructure. But don't forget that growth, man, because that has to come side by side. That's what's guiding the people out of the wilderness. You need the tools.
correct.
The tools.
And the growth comes in. One of my favorite sayings is help enough people, and in return, you'll be helped in return. And that's really what it is. So maybe I wasn't as clear, but in working on the processes and in working on the systems within the business, it's to grow. It's the approach of taking, okay, do I want to grow from just saying, okay, well, let's say, for example, we're doing $1 million with our current structure right now. Let's just push, and just do $2 million. That's not the approach that I'm taking. I'm taking we're consistently taking new clients on, and we've got this structure, but let's always continue to work on the product and our process and structure, because naturally we're continuing to grow.
I understood that as well.
Right, and in return, the revenue goes up, but it's not setting a limit to your internal mind saying, okay.
It's not a limit, Emad. It's a goal.
I'm
saying that the revenue, it should be a number. It should be like, I'm going to 2 million, because things are different. When you get to 2 million, it's different than when you're at 150,000 or even $1 million. It's a different company. This is just industry standard. So when you understand, look, I'm driving to $2 million. When I get to 2 million, I need to start replacing people. I need to start doing different things within the company because things change.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying that number is an important component of your goal setting.
It's an anchor.
Well,
it's an anchor.
May I add an extra piece in there? The reason I say it's a limiting factor is because a lot of business owners, let's say, for example, they grow out of business and then they get to the salary that they're comfortable in, and then they stop growing.
That's very true.
And then they stop growing. That's why on the flip side, I say focus on your process, because not only will you get to the salary that you want, but then you will continue to exceed it and go far beyond than if you were to just stop at your.
I think anybody in goal
comfortability.
setting understand, at least they should, if they're mature in goal setting, understands that once you reach the one goal, you should have another goal in
Yeah,
mind.
but here's the
beyond
thing.
that.
A goal is a number, and I think
Yeah.
this is where you're getting tripped up a little bit. You set a number and a hope for yourself, really what you believe. But that's not, can't stop there. It is, how do I get there now? What has to be in place? How do I never sacrifice the quality? But now your mind starts to re-engineer the way you think about how you're going to get there. And
That's
as you
my
go
point
through,
right there. That's
Yeah,
my point.
okay.
That's why
And
the
that's what
number's
we're all
important.
trying to say. Okay.
That's why the revenue amount is important. Go ahead.
Well,
Well,
Sorry, I just had to jump in.
So the definition of a business goal: specific, measurable,
correct.
Artistic.
achievable
and achievable, and believable. And you
And
have
time-stamped.
Yeah, and you have to be able to believe, and it's time-stamped. By when am I going to get there?
And once you get in that mindset, you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get there from here? And then as you start to plan that, and what's really interesting is most people think they can get more done in a year than they actually can. And they think they can get much less done in 5 and 10 years than they actually will. And it's fascinating to go through that process.
So let me actually just pivot slightly here. In that, is your goal to sell your company?
No, not right now. no.
Okay. Is
He's
there a
18
problem
years
there?
old.
No,
He's
no.
18 years old.
Is there a problem with
It's
that?
a little.
Is there, in that mindset, is that a problem?
Well,
If you don't have a goal, not necessarily like I'm definitely going to sell it and this is what I'm going to sell it, but I'm just saying that when you build a company, you should build it to sell it.
Well,
Do you agree or
should
disagree?
is a strong word.
Well, hang on. Do you agree or disagree?
honestly, I disagree.
Okay.
I think creating a company and growing it and let it to evolve and pass either generationally.
it's the same thing as selling it.
Well, so then you're. The question is, are you building it for the long term or are you building it for the short term? In my mind, when you say that, that is an exit. We all exit.
Yes.
Because we exit, right? We exit
So
life.
maybe another way to say it
so-
is, what's your exit strategy, right? I mean,
Yeah, are you you want a short-term exit, you want a long-term exit, but
why is it important to have an exit strategy? Because look, this is my answer, and we'll see what you got. But it influences the way that you build your company.
when people get in the mindset of that they want to sell, they cut as much as they possibly can.
There it is.
And
Yep.
they start.
That's a negative. I disagree with that.
They
You want to
starve
build
the
it
business.
well
Let's
so that
re-
it sells.
Let's rephrase it as that most entrepreneurs should build a company as though they were building it to sell it. It doesn't mean that they will sell it, doesn't mean that they want to sell it, doesn't mean that their goal. But a company that's sellable, meaning that somebody's willing to buy it, is going to be buttoned up and
But
super
here's
well
the, I'm
organized.
going
more
to challenge
valuable.
you. I'm going to challenge
I
you
will too.
because
That's actually your wheelhouse.
I will too.
Because if you take that mindset, then you're not investing in the future.
Bingo. Your passion
No,
is gone.
it's the opposite.
come on.
You're actually investing. I'm glad we're on the same side of the table.
on the same side.
I think
They're confused. We'll
I
get it
know.
caught up. Yeah.
Soon enough.
I think, hey, look, you're exiting the podcast and you're not in yet. So if I were you guys, I'd be a little nicer to this side of the table. Just saying. No, but let me.
Well, he
let me
could be
try.
nicer.
Right.
I don't have to be.
That's true. My point is this. I think it's the opposite. I think that if you're building it to not to sell it, but to make it sellable, then you're going to start thinking about not making it all about yourself and making a company that's sustainable, that can grow without the key owner of the business. And then I
that
think
part,
you have
there's no disagreement.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the same philosophy.
No, because when you're selling, you don't invest in the future, and you hope the next guy will do it.
I disagree. So, like, you're looking at numbers are your game, right? The numbers are important so that people are aware of where they're at, right?
Correct. Okay.
So they're making emotional decisions about whether they want the information or what they're going to do with the information. But if they have a mature stance that says, look, this isn't about me. This is about everybody that is benefiting from my company, right? Then you run it that way. That's the position I'm taking. It should run without you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it may have to run
Without
without
a
you.
doubt.
Right. So, and I know you're building your company that runs very effectively and you're managing from the top, but you're not executing on all of the services yourself, right? You're building it, you're stepping away, you're doing all the right things. But that's not because you don't care about the frontline service. You have a maturity about understanding what the needs of the company are. That's all I'm saying. And when you have a mindset that says, look, if I'm building this thing so that I could sell it, right, with a goal of either whether it's giving it to my children or selling it to somebody out there in the market because I have a life change that I need to pivot to, if you know your numbers, if you structured right, if you got all your system processes in there, it's going to be sellable. And I'm just saying it's a little bit different mind shift that makes it less about you and more about the company itself and the health of the company. That's my only point.
I don't think you and I disagree on that point, but I've seen the mindset of somebody who wants to sell, and it's scorched earth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to
That's
be.
not what I meant because that's not how I approach it. I know that's not how you.
What we're saying is build a company
So it
that's
could work without
sellable, not have the mindset that you're selling your company and then you're trying to cut and take as much as you can
then
for
I
yourself.
agree. Then we're
Yeah.
on the same page.
We are, yeah. Because, for example, and I'll just add this as a tidbit, but there's a lot of additional services that I do for clients that I don't charge for.
All right,
And
I'm
that's-
going to throw up right now.
So,
I knew it.
Well, let me finish though. It's to help them grow because once they grow, the return becomes greater for us.
Or the
take-
expectation of free shit comes.
Yeah, the free shit. Or they take credit for it and they forget that you did it for them.
Oh,
There's
that's-
nothing wrong with
that
charging
is
value.
true.
That happens a
value to
lot.
Oh, my
God, that
No
happens all
good
the
deed,
time.
right?
No,
No good
well,
deed.
it doesn't mean you shouldn't do good
Hey,
deeds.
guys, I'm gonna
But
throw
yeah,
up.
no good deed goes unpunished. But what happens is when things go wrong, fuck, it was your fault. Why did you put me in the... But then when things work out, they forget it was Simply Bookkeeping that did it, and they come out. They're like,
who?
yeah, like,
Well, that's that
we
client
did this on
success
our own.
manager,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you have that. Look, you can take credit for all that stuff. That's all a good thing. But
Right. Now-
we've gone long. We got to wrap it up. But see,
Yeah.
this is the kind of discussions I like having, right?
Oh,
I
this
mean,
is
let's
too
dig
good.
into it. Let's challenge each other. Let's have some fun.
Great talking
All
to
right.
you. Good
Hey,
to see you.
All right.
Glad
Thanks,
you
Emad.
joined.
Imad, if folks
Always
want to
a
get in touch
pleasure.
with you, how do they do that?
Well, if they still want to get in touch with me,
All right, that's enough. That
the
laugh took a turn for the worse there.
line of the day. All right, maybe the week that'll make the highlight reel.
Oh, my God.
best way is to check us out online at www.simplybookkeeping.com. That's simply with an I. Bookkeeping is OOKKEE. Or they can call us directly at 832-518-9368, and we'd be happy to have a consultation.
All right, and you'll be able to be on this side of the hot
Oh,
seat
yeah.
next time.
Looking forward to it.
All right, good. I'm looking forward to having that bookkeeping, angle
Discipline,
on stuff.
yeah.
But really, as you know, this is the vibe of the show. Is it's like, I mean, let's kind of dig in a little bit. I mean, we don't have to rough every guest up if they can't take it. You know what I mean? We have to figure that out. But it's like that's the kind of guests that
I think
want.
we should issue, black paint
Oh, yeah.
underneath.
Heck yeah.
Helmet,
Yeah, that's-
shoulder pads,
Yeah.
and we all start in a 3-point stance. What do you think?
I don't know. We can think about it.
Yeah.
All right. A quick reminder, check out our latest. I don't even know what I'm saying now. Quick reminder, check out our latest podcasts and catch video version of the show anytime by visiting our website, satalkradio.com. If you enjoyed the show, make sure that you subscribe, like, follow, do all the things. And then, by all means, if you're in the San Antonio area, come to one of our mixers.
Absolutely.
They're a good time. You're going to meet some great people and hang out, have some fun, drink some margaritas.
There you go.
All right.
All right.
That's going to be it for this one.
Sounds
You guys
great.
have a great week, and we'll see you on the next
Thanks,
one.
Emad.